The knife shook in Elena's hand, its edge catching the candlelight as blood welled up along her wrist. Just a thin line barely there, but enough to make them all freeze. "Is this what you wanted?" she screamed, her voice cracking like shattered glass. "To push me until I broke?" Alex lurched forward, his face drained of color. "Elena, stop. Don't you dare say my name." The blade slipped slightly, her fingers trembling. For one terrible second, she almost pressed deeper. Then sirens wailed outside, red and blue lights flooding through the windows. But here's the thing nobody saw coming. Elena had called them herself 20 minutes earlier. And what happened next? Well, that's a story that'll make you question everyone you've ever trusted. Before we dive in, do me a favor. Smash that like button if you ever felt betrayed by someone you loved. Drop a comment telling me, would you fight back or walk away? And subscribe because this story has twists that'll leave you speechless. Trust me, you don't want to miss what happens next. Now, let me take you back to where it all started. 3 months before that bloody dinner party, when Elena thought her biggest problem was a distant husband. Elena Hartwell stood in her kitchen in Greenwich, Connecticut, staring at her phone like it might explode. The text message glowed on the screen. "Can't talk now. Stop checking up on me." She'd only asked if he wanted chicken or pasta for dinner. 6 years of marriage, and it had come to this. One-word answers, cold shoulders, and a husband who treated his phone like it contained nuclear codes. Alex used to kiss her forehead every morning. Now, he barely looked up from his screen during breakfast. "Maybe I'm overthinking," she whispered to the empty kitchen, her voice echoing off the marble countertops. But that little voice in her gut, the one she'd been ignoring for months, screamed that something was deeply, horribly wrong. That evening, Alex came home late. Again, his cologne smelled different, sweeter, like someone else had picked it out. Elena watched him drop his keys on the counter, his movement sharp and annoyed. "We need to talk," she said softly. "Not now, Elena. I'm exhausted. About us. About why you've been so." "So what?" Alex spun around, his eyes flashing with something she'd never seen before. Pure irritation. "Why I've been so tired of you constantly breathing down my neck. Why I can't have a single conversation without you interrogating me." Elena stepped back like he'd slapped her. "I just want to understand. You want to control me." His voice rose, filling their expensive kitchen with venom. "You can't stop my ex from visiting me. I'm not your slave. Elena, I'm a grown man who can make his own choices." The words hit her like ice water. Sarah's been visiting you." Alex grabbed his keys. "I'm staying at a hotel tonight. I need space." "Wait, Alex, please." The door slammed. The sound echoed through their 5-bedroom house, through the carefully decorated hallways filled with wedding photos and happy memories that suddenly felt like lies. Elena sank to the floor, her hands shaking. Sarah, his ex-girlfriend from college. The woman who'd coincidentally moved to Greenwich last year. The woman whose Instagram post Alex still liked at 2 a.m. Have you ever had that moment where your whole world just shifts? Where you realize the person sleeping next to you might be a stranger? Drop a comment. I want to know I'm not alone in this. 3 days passed. No calls. No texts. Nothing. Elena threw herself into detective work. She checked their bank account first, and that's when her blood turned cold. $15,000. Gone. Transferred to an account she didn't recognize. Then another $10,000. And another 5. Her hands flew across her laptop keyboard, pulling up months of statements she'd been too trusting to check. $38,000. Drained slowly over 6 months. Always an amount small enough to slip past her notice. "Oh my God," she breathed. "Oh my God, oh my God." Her phone buzzed. Her best friend Mia's photo lit up the screen. Them laughing at a wine bar, arms around each other, best friends in high school. "Elena? Honey, what's wrong? You sound weird." "It's Alex. He's been taking money from our account. I think Sarah's involved." Silence stretched across the line. Too long. "Mia, I'm here. Listen, come over. We'll figure this out together. You need someone on your side." 20 minutes later, Elena sat in Mia's apartment in Stamford, pouring out everything. The fights, the money, the sick feeling that her marriage had been built on sand. Mia handed her wine, her face sympathetic. Men are trash. But here's what you do. You don't let him see you sweat. You play it cool, gather evidence, then you destroy him. I can't believe this is happening. Believe it. But Elena, Mia squeezed her hand. You're stronger than you think. And you've got me, always. Those words should have comforted her. They didn't. Something in Mia's eyes seemed off, too bright, too eager. But Elena was drowning, and Mia was the only life raft in sight. That weekend, Elena did something she never thought she'd do. She installed a tracking app on a family account they still shared. It felt dirty, like admitting her marriage was truly dead. But she needed to know. Saturday evening, the app pinged. Alex's location. The Riverside Motel on Route 1. Not a business hotel. Not a friend's place. A cheap, pay-by-the-hour motel where people want to hide. Elena's heart hammered as she drove there, her hands gripping the steering wheel so tight her knuckles went white. The parking lot was nearly empty except for 3 cars, including Alex's black Mercedes. She parked 2 rows back, her breath fogging the windshield as she waited, and waited. 30 minutes later, the door to room 12 opened. Alex stepped out. Then Sarah, blonde, beautiful, younger than Elena by 5 years. And they weren't just talking. Alex's hand rested on Sarah's lower back, intimate and familiar. He leaned in and kissed her temple. Elena's vision blurred with tears, but she didn't look away. She couldn't. That's when their voices drifted across the parking lot, sharp in the cold November air. Said the inheritance comes through in March, Sarah said, checking her phone. Once her grandmother's estate settles. We're talking $2 million. Easy. Alex laughed. Actually laughed. Told you marrying her was the smart play. Elena's too trusting. She never even questioned why I pushed for that joint account. What about her friend? The pushy one. Mia? She's fine. Sticking to the plan. Feeding Elena advice to keep her confused. As long as Elena thinks Mia's on her side, we're golden. Sarah grinned. You're evil. I love it. By spring, we'll be in the Bahamas, and Elena will be signing divorce papers wondering what happened. They kissed again, long, deep, the kind of kiss that said this wasn't new. Elena sat frozen in her car, watching her husband betray her with every breath. But worse, so much worse, was a name that had just come up. Mia, her best friend since they were 16, the girl who'd held her hand through her father's funeral, who'd helped plan her wedding to Alex, who'd sworn loyalty 1,000 times. Let me ask you something. What's worse, your husband cheating or your best friend helping him? Comment below because I genuinely want to know. Elena didn't cry. Something inside her had cracked. But what flowed out wasn't tears. It was something colder, sharper. She took out her phone and started recording. Every word, every laugh, every kiss. When Alex's car finally pulled away, Elena sat in the darkness for another hour, playing the video back, memorizing their faces, their smiles. Then she drove to a coffee shop, ordered a black coffee she didn't drink, and made a list. Not a crying, heartbroken list, a strategy list. Because if they wanted to play games with her life, her money, her trust, fine. But Elena Hartwell was about to teach them a lesson they'd never forget. Monday morning, Elena sent Alex a text. I'm sorry for overreacting. Can we talk? I miss you. 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Yeah, miss you too. Dinner tonight? She smiled at her phone, but it wasn't a happy smile. It was the smile of a chess player seeing checkmate 3 moves ahead. Perfect, she whispered. That week, Elena transformed. On the outside, she played the apologetic wife, cooking Alex's favorite meals, laughing at his jokes, touching his arm like nothing had changed. On the inside, she was a woman possessed. She hired a private investigator, a gruff ex-cop named Wallace, who charged $200 an hour and didn't ask questions. Within 3 days, he delivered a file thick enough to choke on. Alex hadn't just been stealing from their joint account. He'd been embezzling from Elena's family business, Hartwell and Associates. the boutique consulting firm her late father had built. Small amounts, hidden in fake vendor payments and padded expense reports. $23,000 over 2 years. Your husband's good, Wallace said, tapping the papers. But he got greedy, left a trail. And Sarah works at Meridian Bank. She's been processing the transfers, taking a cut. Classic inside job. Wallace leaned back. But here's the interesting part. There's a third player. Someone who set up the shell companies Alex used to hide the money. Elena's stomach dropped. Who? Wallace slid another paper across. A business registration form. The signature at the bottom made Elena's world tilt. Mia Chun, her best friend's legal name. She's been planning this longer than your husband, Wallace said. I dug into her history. She introduced you two at that art gallery opening 6 years ago, right? Yes, but it wasn't a coincidence. Mia knew your family had money. She'd been struggling with debt from her boutique. Alex was her ex-boyfriend from college. She set the whole thing up, introduced him to you, encouraged a relationship, probably coached him through the whole courtship. Elena's hands went numb. No, Mia wouldn't. I got emails. Want to see them? Elena nodded, even though she wanted to run. Wallace pulled up his laptop. Email chains dating back 7 years. Mia and Alex discussing the target, the timeline, the payout. Laughing about how trusting Elena was. How easy she made it. One email from Mia, dated 2 months before Elena's wedding. Once you're married, stick to the plan, make her fall in love, make her dependent. Then we clean out the accounts and disappear. She'll never see it coming. Alex's response. She's already talking about kids. This is almost too easy. Elena ran to Wallace's bathroom and vomited. When she came back, her face was chalk white, but her eyes had gone stone cold. I want everything, she said. Every email, every transaction, every lie. What are you planning? Justice. Elena's next move was brilliant and terrible. She called Tom, Alex's younger brother. They'd always gotten along. Tom was a family screw-up, the black sheep who'd bounced between jobs and bad relationships. But he was also observant. He saw things. They met at a bar in Norwalk, far from Greenwich's prying eyes. Tom, I need your help. He studied her over his beer. You look different. What's going on? Your brother's stealing from me, and I think you know. Tom's face didn't change, but his fingers tightened around his glass. Bingo. Elena. Don't lie. Please. I've had enough lies to last a lifetime. He sighed long and heavy. I found out 2 months ago. Saw some documents in Alex's car. Confronted him. And he offered me $20,000 to stay quiet. Said he'd cut me in if I kept my mouth shut. Tom met her eyes. I took it. I'm sorry. I was broke and stupid, and I took it. Most women would have exploded. Elena just nodded. I understand. You do. People do terrible things when they're desperate. But Tom, she leaned forward. I'm about to do something terrible too. And I need someone on the inside. Someone who knows Alex's patterns, his passwords, his secrets. What are you offering? $50,000. Clean, legal, and a clear conscience. Tom whistled low. You're serious. Dead serious. But I need to know everything. And I mean everything. Over the next hour, Tom spilled it all. How Alex had a second phone. How he'd been planning to file for divorce right after Elena's grandmother's estate settled. How Mia had been sleeping with Alex for the past year. Not just partners in crime, but actual lovers. She'd come to his apartment when you were at yoga. Tom said, shame coloring his voice. I saw her there once. They were close. Elena's chest felt hollow, but she kept her face neutral. Anything else? Yeah, there's a life insurance policy. Alex took it out on you last year. $500,000. Beneficiary is Sarah. The heir left the room. He's planning to kill me? I don't know. Maybe just hoping you'd have an accident? Elena, you need to go to the police. No. Her voice cut like a blade. The police would mean lawyers, trials, years. I want this finished. Completely. What are you going to do? Elena smiled, and Tom actually flinched. I'm going to give them exactly what they want, and then I'm going to watch them destroy each other. The plan came together like a beautiful, terrible puzzle. Elena withdrew $50,000 in cash from a separate account Alex didn't know about. Money her grandmother had left her years ago, untouched. She gave Tom his cut. He delivered everything she asked for. Alex's second phone password, copies of keys, access to his laptop. But Elena wasn't done. She needed more. She needed them all in one room, trapped with nowhere to hide. That's when she planned the dinner party. The invitations went out on cream-colored cardstock, elegant and simple. You're invited to a reconciliation dinner at the Hartwell residence. Let's put the past behind us and move forward as family. She sent one to Alex, to Sarah, to Mia, to Tom. Alex nearly choked on his coffee when he saw it. Babe, are you sure about this? Elena smiled sweetly. I've been doing a lot of thinking. Life's too short for grudges. Besides, if Sarah's important to you, I should get to know her. And Mia's my best friend. She should be there to celebrate us getting back on track. Alex's eyes flickered with something. Suspicion? Relief? Greed? That's really mature of you. I'm tired of fighting. I just want peace. He kissed her forehead, and Elena had to fight the urge to spit in his face. Instead, she leaned into it, playing her part perfectly. The day of the dinner arrived cold and clear. December in Greenwich, the kind of weather where your breath misted and the world felt sharp-edged. Elena spent the afternoon cooking. A beautiful roasted chicken, garlic mashed potatoes, glazed carrots, her grandmother's china, her best wine glasses, candles everywhere. It looked like a celebration. It was a funeral. At 6 p.m., they started arriving. Mia first, holding a bottle of wine, her smile bright. Elena, this is such a good idea. I'm so proud of you for taking the high road. Elena hugged her, breathing in her familiar perfume. Thanks for always being there. Always, Mia said, and the lie tasted like ash. Tom came next, his eyes meeting Elena's for just a second. A silent, understanding passed between them. Then Alex and Sarah together, which should have shocked everyone but didn't. Alex had the decency to look sheepish. Sarah's my friend. I thought it would be good for everyone to clear the air. Sarah extended her hand, perfectly manicured. Thank you for having me. I know this is awkward. Elena shook it, her smile never wavering. Not at all. Please, come in. They gathered around the dining room table. 6 people bound by lies and secrets and money. Elena served the food, poured the wine, played the gracious hostess. And one by one, she watched them drink. The sedative she'd mixed into the wine bottle was mild, just enough to lower inhibitions, not enough to knock anyone out. She'd bought it from a shady pharmacy Tom recommended, ground it into powder, stirred it in carefully. Wallace had warned her this was dangerous, illegal, potentially lethal if she got the dose wrong. I know, Elena had said. I'm counting on it. 20 minutes in, the effects started showing. Voices got louder, laughs more genuine. Guards dropped. Sarah leaned back in her chair. Okay, can I just say, this is weird as hell. Why are we really here, Elena? Yeah, Mia chimed in, her words slightly slurred. This feels like a setup. Alex shot them both warning looks, but his own tongue was loosening. Can we just enjoy dinner? No. Elena set down her fork. We can't, because I know everything. The room went silent. I know about the money, the accounts, the embezzling from my family's business. She looked at Alex, her voice steady. I know about the life insurance policy with Sarah as the beneficiary. Sarah's face drained of color. And Mia? Elena turned to her best friend, her former best friend. I know you set this whole thing up. That you and Alex were together before he ever met me. That this was all a con from day one. Mia's laugh came out sharp and brittle. You're crazy. The stress has made you paranoid. I have emails, bank records, photos, a private investigator's entire case file. Elena pulled out a folder, thick and damning. Want to see? Tom shifted uncomfortably. Alex stared at his plate. Sarah looked like she might bolt. But Mia? Mia's face twisted into something ugly. Fine, she spat. Fine. You want the truth? Yes. I set it up. You were always so privileged. Elena, so perfect with your daddy's money and your big house. You never had to struggle. You never had to choose between rent and food. So you decided to steal from me? I decided to take what should have been shared. Mia stood, knocking over her wine glass. Red liquid spread across the white tablecloth like blood. You had everything handed to you. I had to fight for scraps. When I met Alex, I knew he could get close to you, that you'd fall for him because you fall for everyone. I loved you, Elena whispered. I never loved you. Mia screamed. You were a mark, a meal ticket, and Alex was supposed to be mine, but he's too weak. He actually started feeling guilty. Shut up, Mia, Alex hissed, but the floodgates were open. Sarah jumped in, her voice shaking. This wasn't supposed to happen like this. Alex said you'd never find out, that we get the money and disappear, and you'd just think it was a failed marriage. I didn't ask you, Alex shouted, slamming his hands on the table. And just like that, they were screaming at each other, accusations flying, secrets spilling, the carefully constructed con falling apart like wet paper. Tom sat frozen, watching it all implode. Elena stood and walked to the kitchen. When she came back, she held a knife. Now here's where things get intense. If you're still watching, drop a like. I need to know you're as hooked as I am. You want to know what's funny? Elena's voice cut through the chaos. Everyone froze. I already moved the money. Every penny from our joint accounts, from the business, from the accounts you thought I didn't know about, it's all gone. Offshore. Untouchable. Alex lunged his feet. You can't, that's illegal. Like embezzling isn't? Like fraud isn't? Like planning to murder your wife for insurance money isn't? Elena laughed wild and sharp. I learned from the best. From all of you. The knife trembled in her hand. She pressed it to her wrist, and for one terrible second, everyone thought she'd do it. Blood welled up, just a thin line, barely there. Is this what you wanted? She screamed, tears streaming down her face. To push me until I broke? To take everything until there was nothing left? Elena, stop. Alex moved toward her, his face pale with genuine fear now. The blade slipped, shook, her whole body trembled, and that's when the siren started. Red and blue lights flooded through the windows. Car door slammed. Voices shouted. Alex spun toward the window. What did you do? I called them 20 minutes ago, Elena said, lowering the knife. The cut on her wrist was superficial, already clotting. Anonymous tip about domestic violence, about fraud, about threats against my life. She walked to the door and opened it, for police officers stood on her porch, hands on their weapons. Officers! Thank God you're here, Elena said, her voice small and broken. My husband and his friends. They've been threatening me, stealing from me. I was so scared. She's lying, Sarah shrieked. But the officers weren't listening to Sarah. They were looking at Elena's wrist, at the blood, at her tear-stained face, at the folder of evidence she handed them with shaking hands. It's all there, Elena whispered. Bank transfers, emails, recorded conversations, everything. One officer started reading. His face went hard. Alex Hartwell, Sarah Mitchell, Mia Chin, you're all under arrest. The room erupted. Mia tried to run. Sarah started crying. Alex just stood there, his world crumbling around him. As they were led away in handcuffs, Alex caught Elena's eye. You set us up. No, Elena said softly. You set yourselves up. I just gave you enough rope to hang yourselves with. But here's the twist nobody saw coming. As the last police car drove away, Tom turned to Elena. That was incredible. You actually did it. Thanks to you. Yeah, about that. Tom pulled out his phone. I've been recording everything tonight. Every confession. Every admission. Elena's smile faded. Tom. And I'm thinking this recording is worth way more than 50,000. Maybe another 100? Otherwise, I sent it to Alex's lawyer. Prove you drugged them. Prove you manipulated the whole thing. Elena stared at him. Then she started laughing. What's so funny? Tom, you idiot. You absolute idiot. She pulled out her own phone. I've been recording you trying to blackmail me, which is a crime. So here's what's going to happen. You're going to delete that recording, take your $50,000 and disappear, or I send this to the police, and you join your brother in jail. Tom's face went white. I told you. I learned from the best. Elena's voice went cold as winter. Now get out of my house. He left without another word. Elena sat on a balcony in Barcelona, watching the sunset paint the Mediterranean gold and crimson. Her new apartment was small but beautiful. Whitewashed walls, plants everywhere, the smell of sea salt in the air. She'd changed her name, cut her hair, started over. The money was safe. The legal battles were done. Alex got 7 years for embezzlement and fraud. Sarah got 5. Mia got 10 for orchestrating the whole scheme. Turned out she'd done this before. To another woman in Boston, Tom disappeared, probably hiding from his own demons. Justice was served. Elena had won. So why did she feel so empty? She looked at her phone. No messages. No calls. No one who really knew her anymore. The trust was gone. Not just in them, but in everyone. How could she ever open herself up again? How could she ever believe someone when they said, I love you? The doorbell rang. Elena froze. She wasn't expecting anyone. Barely anyone knew this address. She opened the door slowly. A young woman stood there, maybe 25, with Alex's eyes and Sarah's smile. Hi, the woman said. My name is Jade. I think you knew my parents. Elena's blood turned to ice. Parents? Alex Hartwell and Sarah Mitchell. They told me about you, about the inheritance, about what you did. Jade's smile widened. And I'm here to collect what's rightfully mine. Elena stared at her, mind racing. This couldn't be real. Alex never mentioned a daughter. Sarah was too young to have a kid this old, unless it was another lie, another con, another test. Elena's hand moved her phone, fingers hovering over the screen. One call to her lawyer, one call to the private investigator. Or, she smiled, cold, sharp, dangerous. Come in, Elena said, stepping aside. Let's talk about what you think you're owed. As Jade walked past her, Elena caught a reflection in the hallway mirror. For just a second, she didn't recognize herself. The woman staring back wasn't Elena Hartwell, devoted wife. Wasn't Elena the victim. She was someone new, someone harder, someone who'd learned that in this world, you either played the game or got played. And Elena, she was done being anyone's fool. 3 hours later, Jade left Elena's apartment in tears, her case destroyed by simple fact-checking. She wasn't Alex's daughter. She was a hired actress, paid $5,000 by someone to shake Elena down. But who hired her? That was the real question. Elena pulled up her laptop and started digging. Because here's what she'd learned. The game never really ends. There's always another player, another threat, another person who thinks they can take what's yours. She found the answer in an hour. Tom. Desperate, stupid Tom, trying one last con. Elena picked up her phone and made a call. Wallace, I have another job for you. What kind of job? The kind that ends with someone learning a very permanent lesson. There was a pause. Elena, you sure you want to go down this road? You won in court. You got justice. Justice isn't enough anymore. Elena's voice was calm. Empty. I want peace. The kind of peace that comes from knowing no one will ever try this again. I'll make some calls. Elena hung up and walked back to her balcony. The sun had set. The city glittered below, full of people living their small lives, trusting and hoping and loving. She used to be one of them. Now, she was something else. Something forged in betrayal and tempered in revenge. A single tear rolled down her cheek, not for what she'd lost, but for what she'd become. The old Elena would have cried herself to sleep, heartbroken and defeated. This Elena, she poured herself a glass of wine, opened her laptop, and started planning her next move. Because in the end, the only person you can truly trust is yourself. Everyone else? They're just players in a game you didn't know you were playing. Until you learn the rules. Until you become the one making them. 2 months later, In a small cafe in Prague, Elena sat across from a handsome stranger. He'd introduced himself as David, said he was an architect, made her laugh for the first time in a year. "You have a beautiful smile," David said. Elena smiled wider, but inside, she was running calculations, checking his story, looking for the cracks. "Thank you," she said. "Tell me more about yourself." And as David talked, Elena listened, not with her heart, but with the cold, analytical part of her brain that now ran the show. Because she'd learned the most important lesson of all. Everyone lies. Everyone has an angle. Everyone wants something. The question wasn't whether to trust. It was whether you were smart enough to see the con before it destroyed you. Elena sipped her coffee and smiled at David, already 3 steps ahead of whatever game he thought he was playing. After all, you can't con a con artist. And Elena, she graduated top of her class. So here's my question for you. Did Elena go too far? Or did she do exactly what she needed to survive? Drop a comment and let me know. And if you made it all the way to the end, you're a real one. Hit that subscribe button because I've got more stories that'll keep you up at night. Thanks for watching. Now, go question everyone in your life. You're welcome. Yendi.